I wonder if you have thought any more about what we were talking on Sunday morning. Whether you have gone into it deeply by yourselves and have come to a certain point beyond which you may not be able to go. And if so, we could go into it much further. What we were saying there Sunday morning was that we must have the capacity to think together. The capacity comes naturally and inevitably if one sees the importance and the necessity in a corrupting world that to think together does not imply agreement or disagreement, but putting aside one's own particular point of view, one's own particular prejudice, opinion, judgment, and having the capacity thus to think together. Because when you think together, there is no division. You are not thinking separately from the speaker. Sorry, I've got slight hay fever. Don't give me medicines. If you are able to think together, the division between you and another comes to an end. There is only thinking, not your way of thinking or another way of thinking, just the capacity to think together. But that's not possible if you don't put aside your own particular conclusions, your own vanity, your own personal demands. Otherwise, there is no coming together. The word together means walking together, being together all the time. Not you walk ahead, another walks behind. But walking together means we're both going along the same way, not thinking different things, observing the same thing, not translating what you observed in your own particular inclination or prejudice, but observing together, listening together, walking together. I wonder if you realize when that takes place, what happens between two human beings. Because there is great demand or great urge in this present permissive society that each one of us must fulfill sexually, emotionally, and so on, the desire to fulfill. And with it goes naturally the whole problem of frustration, of Please listen carefully what I'm pointing out. Don't accept or deny what we are talking about, but we are thinking together. And I mean thinking together. When one is seeking fulfillment in another, or desiring to be and become and therefore act, which is a form of fulfillment, then in that movement there is frustration. All kinds of neurotic ideas, neurosis, and so on, so on. But when we think together, that is, you have dropped your particular opinion, judgment, and so on, and the other has also dropped his, there is no division, and therefore there is no sense of fulfillment. I wonder if you get this. And therefore no sense of frustration. Please, this is not a verbal conclusion, an idealistic concept, something to be achieved, but the realization of the actual fact that as long as we are not thinking together about everything, politics, religion, economics, personal relation, and so on, thinking together, there must be division, and out of that division there arises the desire to fulfill, and the inevitable sequence of that is frustration, with all its neurosis and all the inevitable reactions. When we think together, all that comes to an end. I wonder if you are following this. If one may ask, you have, perhaps some of you, listened to Sunday morning's talk, and have you inwardly dropped your personal opinion, your conclusion, your experience? Or you hold on to them consciously or unconsciously and make an effort to think together. And of course that is rather childish, which only maintains a certain verbal communication, but in actuality there is division, and therefore there is conflict. When we think together, conflict comes to an end. I wonder if you see this. Please, you must get this. Because we human beings for millennia upon millennia have lived with conflict, struggle, strife of various kinds, physical, psychological, emotional, exploiting each other. The whole human relationship is based on that. And in thinking together, relationship undergoes a fundamental change, because there is no division. If you are ambitious and another is not ambitious, there is division. If you believe in God or in Jesus or Krishna, whatever it is, and the other doesn't, there is division, and therefore there is conflict. You may tolerate each other, as what is happening now. But division exists, nationalism and so on. So if we could, during these talks, I don't know how many of them, I believe 10 or so, if we could, a group of us, all of us if we can, at least a few of us, apply our minds to find out if we can absolutely think together. Therefore, when we do that, the relationship between us completely undergoes a change. Right? I wonder if you see this.